Ed from Pinball Mayhem here. Today I'm going to be showing you how I am reconditioning joysticks. So let's check out the video. I'm going to try to film this in real time. We might speed it up a little bit in post-production. But one note, audio is probably not going to be the greatest because I am not wearing a lapel mic. When working with a lathe, a high-speed tool, you have to use your... You have to be safe. That's the biggest thing. No hanging clothing, no nothing. And even when I'm working on this, I'm going to be talking about safety. This is an old 1933 South Bend lathe that I had fixed up. It is a 16-inch, I believe. It's a 6-foot bed, and I believe the throw is a total of at least like maybe 12. I forget the actual measurement. Put a lot of work into it. Well, we're talking. So the throw is 14, so roughly 14-inch lathe. I'm able to do a lot of stuff on it. It's not the tightest thing. It is an older lathe, but it does what I need it to do. These are some old beat-up joysticks, knobs. You can see a lot of rust there. You can see we got some marks on the top of these. So I'm going to go about and try to fix these up. Also, take a note at these blue. Don't know how well that's going to turn out, but you see how this one's significantly yellower than this nice blue. And let's compare that to those three to the one I just finished. See, the color is much different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one and try to get it look a lot closer to that. The other thing also, hard to see, there's a seam here for when they made it. When they formed this in two halves, and that's something that we can also take off on part of this. So our goal is to make the shaft look a lot nicer and to make the ball, remove some scratches. There's always this divot on the bottom. Make it look the best as new, because you know these are 16 bucks new, and I got a lathe, might as well try to make them look a little nicer. Now, one post thing that you always have to do is, I'm going to be talking a lot about lathe safety too. One post thing is you have to clear coat the shaft after you're done, because removing the protective coating. So I'm going to put this back to normal speed that I like to work with, and I'm going to go through the process. Chuck key. Never leave a chuck key in the chuck. That will hurt you or someone else. So always take it out. Here's the finished product. Looks all right. I guess I could have done a little bit better polishing on the bottom. One last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and just clean the shaft up below this lip. Now, depending on your joystick handle, you don't need to clean this perfectly. This is just going to sit in the base. Sometimes there's a lip. Any of these have it. There could be a lip worn in right about there. From hitting the side of the case. I had one where I just had to file that down. Still had the groove worn in it, but doesn't mean that you're not going to see it. So this one's ready to be painted. Pretty happy with that. I'm going to tape off the ball, tape off here because this has to fit normally, and I'm gonna paint just the shaft with clear coat. So this one's ready. I'm going to set this off to the side on a rag and show you how I'm going to clean up one of these. And I'm going to go with the yellowest joystick handle. So I'm going to start in the chuck. Now, safety is the key. I'm going to check my speed. That's where I want to work. I'm just going to use a large metal file, and I'm going to try to take the rust off. Now, issue with this is the file could catch in the chuck. So that's why I'm positioning my body off to the left of it. So if it catches and flies up, I can get out of the way, and it's going to fly one of those two ways. I also have a protection behind me. And I'm just going to periodically stop it and check it. I don't have to go all the way down the bottom because the chrome is pretty good on this one. The other one I finished was much worse. I just want to make sure I get as much of that rust out of there as possible. And also, because these balls are molded onto the top, I'm not going to be afraid of getting a little closer with that with the edge. You see a little bit of blue? It's actually going to help it look a little nicer. As long as you don't go overboard and make a flat spot. So Still seeing a little bit of rust in the bottom here. And you notice I'm moving the file. You don't just sit the file in one spot because that doesn't do any good. The file has to be moved. Safety is a big concern with a piece of equipment like this. It has a lot of force. It can rip off a appendage pretty quickly because you think about the horsepower that is put behind this. I think it's a 1 or a 2 horsepower motor. I think it's a 2 horsepower, but then it's gear driven, so the amount of force right here at the head is just amazing. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to take some of my sandpaper, and I'm going to just fold this into a... I'm going to try to make it even smoothness. And even hit it with a little bit of steel wool. Now when I'm working with something like this, don't wrap it around your fingers or anything. Have it ready to be ripped out of your hand, because I'd rather get ripped out. I'm just trying to get a nice clean finish on this. Clean enough so I can clear coat it. I don't need it to be, actually I'm gonna have to use this piece. I don't need it to be perfect because it is the shaft of a joystick. You could polish this to a mirror shine. You have to buff it out to a mirror, and then you'd have to strip all the buffing wax off before you cleared it. Or if it's for your own use, you can leave it in clear. I've seen people polish out steel using even on a lockdown bar as long as they wax it. And, you know, but I'm just trying to get a nice even coat. Big thing when working on something like this is you don't want to go back and forth a lot, because we don't want scratches this way. We want to just keep it an even sanding. This kind of has a nice, pretty nice brush look to it. So, okay, I think I'm going to be happy with that. Not the best, not the worst. It has some pits from the original finish. If you look at the original joystick, they're not perfect. They have a lot of pits in them, the chrome. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to check this out for any nicks. There's the filling hole in the bottom. There's some scratches kind of up here, but I also have that horrible green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with just trying, or that lip. The lip and the green. So I'm going to start with using my file once again. I'm going to take that lip off. And I guess I don't have to. Is it original? I guess it is, but if you look at new joysticks, a lot of manufacturers are selling joysticks with, you know, no lip. So by check it, pretty sure I got that lip down. Now I don't want to hit the whole thing with that, because it's going to create more marks. And I'm going to go to this sandpaper, and I'm going to start sanding this down. This is 400. I'm not sure what everything, I kind of just have to see what works best, and this is at a slower speed. So what I want to do is I want to sand it, and it doesn't matter that it's a little off center. One thing to keep in mind, I mean, a lot of times you'd be like, oh, it's off center, it's bouncing around. That's only mattering if I'm cutting it with the actual the cutting tool. But because I'm just using this as a spinning device, which is what it's made for, but I'm not using the cutting tool, I'm able to get away with just you know, it being a little off center. You need a 4-jaw chuck and some time. What I'm doing now is I'm trying to sand off that yellowing nicotine, wherever Arcade came from. I bought a whole bunch of joysticks, and this is not even half the handles I need to recondition. But today I need to get a red and a blue, 2 blues and a red for Arcade, actually 3 blues. I need all 3 of these going, and a red for a couple of projects I'm working on today. So this is kind of, I just did some T-molding this morning, and now this is my my next thing. I want to get these clear coated before lunch. I got, this is number 2 out of 6 I got to do. And I'm doing a little bit more than I have to for the project, but I figure I might as well get a couple extra done while I'm at it and see how that goes. You know, once you get the clear coat out and start spraying. Clear coat, you can use whatever works best for you. I've had good luck with triple thick because it is what I got for pinball play fields, or back glasses, I mean, sorry. It's what I use for pinball back glasses to help seal the art on. I have it. It's a little thick though, so it gives a little bit of an orange peel look to it. So your results may vary. You might want to experiment. And occasionally we're going to stop and just take a look. And I'm going back and forth too far. I see a little orange or a little green there, and a little green on the bottom. So I'm going to keep going with this just a little bit more. The bottom side of the ball is always the hardest side to get good because it's right next to the shaft. And I'm just trying not to go back and forth too much. I'm just trying to keep it concentric because then you get scratches the other way, and if you can't buff them all out perfectly, you're going to see those scratches that go sideways rather than the ones that go in the direction of the ball. I went too fast right there. See, that's what you don't want to do. Don't go too fast. Okay. Pretty good. Now I got to get those scratches out. So I'm going to go to a I think I was finishing it with this. I lost my steel wool. Where did I put it? I have one steel wool, but not the fine stuff. This is the fine, super fine. I think this is like a 600 grit sandpaper. This is going to help take those other scratches out. It's always a bunch of sanding. It's a bunch of time and sanding to get these things down. It also depends on what you want. Now this is going to get a little hot with what I'm doing. That's okay. It's kind of flowing the plastic a little bit. It helps get it smoother, but of course be careful. You can burn yourself. I think this is 600 grit. It doesn't say on it, but it is much finer than the 400. So I was using, on here I was using the file to start with, and I did 400, and then I'm doing, I think this is a 600. I can feel that divot, but I'm not concerned because all of them have that. Something I wanted to show. I'm going to be doing a lot of it lately, so when I reference it, that hey, I cleaned up those joystick handles, you can reference this video and check it out. That's a little dust. That's looking pretty good. Most of the scratches are out of it. Now I did, all in all, take a layer off the outside. Now I'm not done. What I'm going to do is move the speed up to the highest speed, and I'm going to buff it with a little bit of Novus 2 and a small rag. Now one thing, once again, we're talking safety here. The rag, I have a couple layers folded over to make it so I don't burn myself because I'm going to get some heat, but I don't want to wrap this around my finger or anything that I can wrap around a finger because that could be detrimental if it gets caught in the chuck. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this at, I don't know what high speed is, I have to look it up. This is the highest speed the lathe goes. And I'm just going to, the whole trick here is to get the heat, get the buffing compound, let it get warm. You want to move, you don't want to stay in one spot. Let the buffing, because Novus 2 is a polish. Let Novus 2 do its job. You could probably even have a Novus 3 layer first. You don't want to overdo it with the compound either. You just want to try to take out as many of those fine scratches as we can without sitting here and sanding the crap out of it. I want to make sure I get down here at the bottom of the ball. Ooh, got a little warm. And check it for finish. I think that looks pretty good. It's going to be good enough for an arcade. So the last thing I'm going to do, take it out. Remember to remove the chuck key. And just, actually this bottom is pretty good. So that is done, ready for clear coat on this part. I'll of course clean it up a little bit. So let's compare it to the better of the two looking one. You can see a little bit darker, but it definitely, I'm gonna grab the first one I did, because if you remember we compared the color. So now the color matches across them. This one probably didn't see a smoking environment, so this one just needs a little bit of cleaning. But I got 2 blues, 1 more blue to go, and then I'm gonna start working on the red. That is, in a nutshell, how I clean up and recondition, make like new joystick shafts for my games. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on Facebook and Instagram.